So I know that Nancy and I have talked about this before in the last few weeks, but it's still something that needs to be clarified and discussed. And this is more into LinkedIn's new AI tool that they're using. It's called 360 Brew. That is their algorithm. So LinkedIn is fully on board with utilizing an AI algorithm to help those that are using LinkedIn the right way really advance themselves, but also the AI is detecting a lot of the spammy, salesy, pitch slappy tactics that people are using. So we're going to dive into in today's training, in today's episode, what all that actually means for coaches, consultants, and service professionals as we are now past the halfway point of 2026. So what does that mean for the back end of this year, and how can we obviously take full advantage of it? But before we dive into that, just wanted to make a quick announcement. Nancy and I are excited to announce that at the end of July, Monday, July 27th through Wednesday, July 29th from 12 to 1 Eastern, we are going to be doing a free 3-day workshop called Clients on Command, your LinkedIn content roadmap. So, what we're going to be teaching in this free workshop is how to create strategic, high impact content that creates opportunities for leads, builds your business trust, and grows your business authority. And obviously, without burning out yourself or sounding pushy and sales pitchy, as a lot of people may do and may see on LinkedIn. So, day one, we're going to be going over crafting engaging LinkedIn text posts. Day two, market research polls to kind of continue the content creation that you're going to be utilizing on LinkedIn. And then also day three, which is one of the most impactful days, the designing authority building LinkedIn newsletters, which, in my humble and honest opinion, is one of the best features, not just on LinkedIn, but across all social media. So if you're listening on the podcast, the description of this episode has the link for you to register for free. If you are watching on social, whether it's YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, just type the word me, M-E, in the comments if you would like to register for free. It is live and recorded, so even if you can't make any of the lunch and learn sessions Monday through Wednesday, you will be able to access the replays until the end of that week, so you can dive in at any point. So again, if you'd like to register, just type the word me in the comments and we will send you the link. So Nance, I know there's a few things that we need to cover today, so I want to turn it right over to you. So what does LinkedIn's new AI model, AI strategy mean for the coaches, consultants, and service professionals out there that are looking to leverage LinkedIn, not just in 2026, but moving forward?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the big thing to note, and kind of as we start talking about this topic, is I want to kind of like shine a light on the fact that many people are saying, oh my goodness, what I was doing before isn't working anymore. I'm getting no engagement. I'm not getting any impressions, like so on and so forth. Well, the thing is a major change happened, right? You know, the first week in May, in fact, LinkedIn had released an article or newsletter about, some of the changes they were doing. And I know that they had like released an article, unreleased it, they posted it back out there, but it was sharing some of the details around their new algorithm, which is called 360 Brew. And it's a new kind of like AI foundational model that looks at content a little differently, right, than, the content had been looked at before. And the thing is, it's really looking at a lot of different angles that we weren't really looking at before. So instead of just optimizing for certain keywords and, posting content that we knew, would get a lot of likes, we kind of knew that little, strategy, instead of doing some of the spammy things that people were doing before, like engagement pods and whatnot, it's going to pick up on that, right? It's going to flag people. It's going to know, certain things that are no bueno, and other things that are good. And it's actually designed to understand context and meaning of posts. not just the keywords, right? So it's actually looking like, does this person talk about, something, and are they an expert in their space? So it's a really important that we decide what we want to be known for on LinkedIn. What do we want to put our stake in the ground and say, this is, what I want people to come to me for, or I want to be recommended for this thing. So we need to be very specific with that. And, 360 is a big change. And where they're rolling it out, we're going to see these changes kind of gradually. At least we know, right? Because a lot of times I know we're flying blind. LinkedIn has so many different algorithm changes. I know, Scott, you had talked to someone in the past and they were like, yeah, there's like 30 different algorithms
Every
all
hour.
times and everything. And not saying that's not going to continue, but we do know a little bit more about what LinkedIn's saying, is going to be working. And there are certain signals that LinkedIn's going to continue to head in this direction. So that's what we're going to lean into to today. And we're going to talk a little bit about, why the old kind of LinkedIn growth playbook isn't working. And, certain things that we need to really, if we're doing them, we need to stop and where we need to shift our focus to be more successful. So the first thing that I wanted to kind of touch on, Scott, is the engagement pods.
So this is actually something that you guys know that Nancy and I have talked about um, in many episodes at this point. I've done collaborative episodes with other LinkedIn friends of mine that are sick and tired of these. And basically, engagement pods still exist, but they gratefully are starting to die out because of um, LinkedIn's um, persistence in shutting them down. Now, some of these are free, some of these are paid.
What are
Basic,
they?
so it's when a group of individuals get together, whether they are industry related or not, and everyone agrees to a time of day each day to make a post. And then it could be 20 people, 30 people, up to 100 people. And basically everyone posts at the same time, and you go to each one of those individuals' posts and you like and comment on every single one of them. So by the time the person's post goes live, there's 100 likes and 100 comments for every single post. So it's called forced engagement or inauthentic engagement. But here's the cool thing. LinkedIn used to have to self-police this, manually. Like they literally have a engagement pod team that would go in and look for this repetitive activity and then suspend those users. But now the 360 Brew AI algorithm actually is trained to pick up on this repetitive activity. So when they see the same accounts commenting and liking the same accounts over and over again in a repetitive way, these accounts are then getting restricted. The idea of this forced engagement, people think that just because the vanity metrics are increasing, meaning they're having more likes, they're having more impressions, that doesn't mean anything. We're going to get into more about the algorithm, but we've talked about this before. LinkedIn is prioritizing organic comments, saves, sends, and shares. That is actually the most important metrics of measure right now because that's the deeper context. And you don't necessarily want 50 or 60 people commenting on your post. Like that just screams like shady. And just to give you an idea, I had a newsletter, a recent newsletter that I released. It did really, really well. I had close to 34, 35 comments, but that's also me commenting back to some of the people that I'm conversing with. But I did have about 13 or 14 different people. And here's the thing. I see new people populating into the comment section of my content every single post.
I do know.
So if you think an engagement pod is a good idea, you're wrong. It's not going to produce the right results, and you're risking getting your account not just restricted, but permanently suspended.
Yeah. And the people, and again, you don't want to put yourself in a silo where LinkedIn's like, okay, well, these people seem to really like their content. So we're just going to show them your content. And it's people who aren't going to sign up or purchase or be leads anyway. So
Well,
again, we need to be intentional.
yeah, and just to kind of piggyback off of that, what that means is LinkedIn's 360 Brew algorithm has basically reverse engineered to penalize the people that are participating in engagement pods. So basically, it's refocusing formatting your personal news feed within LinkedIn. So basically, if you're going to participate in an engagement pod and you're liking and commenting on the people in the pod, those are the only people's content you're going to see. You're not going to see anyone outside of that that could be a potential um, business ally or a potential client.
Awesome. So, I'm going to go through the couple of the other things that again aren't working, so we want to stop doing them. Another thing is just generic commenting. So, just like Scott said, in the engagement pods, things like that.
Great post.
Just say like, again, that's repetitive. It's not a lot of context. It's, just again, you're not like having a conversation. So, we want to create comments that have engagement. That actually start the conversation or they carry it along. Another thing is hashtags. So we used to get that question all the time. Do hashtags work? Should we add hashtags? Scott, you've actually been testing it
I
out,
have.
right? Like so try out, guys, who are listening here. Don't use hashtags. It actually was shown a while ago that it didn't really significantly help. But hashtag stuffing is no longer a major reach driver. And have you seen like anything, Scott,
Yeah,
from
zero, no more The only time I ever use a hashtag now, in all honesty, is when I'm doing my market research polls on Wednesdays. I start out the promo of the promo post that goes with my LinkedIn poll. I just
yeah.
use the hashtag question for my network because again, that just lets people know I have a question. Outside of that, I stopped using all hashtags in every other piece of my content, and I saw a 13% increase in
Ooh,
overall engagement. But the largest increase of, I would say, engagement signals that I saw were my saves. So in the 2 weeks that I used hashtags with all my content, I had 6 saves of my content. And in the 2 weeks that I didn't use hashtags, I had 11 saves of my content. So almost every single one of my posts had a save. So it almost doubled. So my suggestion is to run a similar split test that I did. Do 2 weeks of your normal posting with 3 hashtags, and then 2 weeks of normal posting without 3 hashtags. But you should see an increase.
awesome. Another thing that I want you guys to take the stress off your plate, right, is posting at the perfect time. It matters less than content relevance, right? We want to post content that our audience actually cares about. So don't obsess over those posting times. The other thing is creating that broad generic content. It's not going to work anymore. Again, there's so much like people are creating AI slop, that has no soul, no heart,
AI
doesn't have
slop.
any kind
That's a
of
new one.
personality, right? So the thing is stop creating that generic broad content and we want to get a little bit more personalized, which we'll talk about that shortly. And the other thing is just views and likes, right? All these things that we were like obsessed about, vanity metrics, all those things they matter less than actual quality engagement. Okay, like Scott mentioned, we care about shares, we care about comments, right? We care when people actually take notice of our posts and they're doing something, right? They're taking some sort of action. So the thing is LinkedIn isn't getting harder. It's actually getting better at identifying a genuine value. So those of you who are actually spending the time to create authentic content, you're taking a little bit longer. And I'm not saying you can't use AI. Of course you can use AI, but use it in the right way, right? Still put a little bit of your soul in there, still put a little bit of your
You,
expertise,
you should be
your
using AI.
stories. Exactly. So one thing now I want to chat about is, what LinkedIn's AI rewards now, meaning over keywords. So what does that actually mean? Okay, meaning over keywords. Well, the thing is AI understands so much more, right? Their little tool that they're using and it's combing and scraping. It can zoom in and say, okay, Scott, he always talks about, LinkedIn and he talks about, content and this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, he is a niche expert in this space and he works with service providers. You know why? Because his profile says it, his content consistently says it, and it's actually going to truly like benefit him and anyone else who's being very consistent with their messaging because specialists gain an advantage over generalists. So that's another thing I want all of you to think about is it clear in your profile, in your headline, in your title, in your industry, right? All the things that you have listed in there, what you do and who you help. right? Is it clear and simple? Can people look at it and go, okay, LinkedIn content specialist or LinkedIn, business expert or whatever? Is it super simple and easy to understand? If it's not, and you're just like, oh, I help people, or, it's very generic, it's literally you're just going to toss back out into the big blue ocean, and you're not going to set yourself apart.
So I actually came up with a name for this called the triangle of trust. So
Oh,
basically to build that trust within your LinkedIn profile that correlates to your LinkedIn content, your headline, your about section, and your experience section that Nancy forementioned have to mention all the same things. So with me, and I'll include your background banner also with your headline. So sales, marketing, lead gen, and content creation are kind of like my four pillars that I talk about on LinkedIn. And all four of those things are mentioned within my background banner, my headline, my about section, and my experience section. So guess what? Everything that I talk about within my LinkedIn content is around LinkedIn sales, LinkedIn marketing, LinkedIn lead generation, LinkedIn content. So if you're building the proper triangle of trust, mentioning those things specifically in those areas, and you correlate that to your content, you're going to see better engagement.
absolutely. And the next thing I kind of want to talk about as far as some things that are working is your actual posts being more intentional with the first 50 words. And we keep seeing this all over, right, Scott? Like in all the algorithm, all the details and everything. It's
Optimize
like
the first
the
50
first,
words.
yeah, exactly. The first 50 words matter, right? Opening lines, like the topic, the audience, the relevance, hooks, right now, super important. That's what it's grabbing. It's saying, what is this topic? Who is this for? Is this relevant, to the audience that you're looking to, attract? And is it hooking people in? So it's going to be able to pull all of that. So again, whether you're optimizing your AI prompting or, again, you're creating the content, the first 50 words matter. And we know this. Another thing is your save and dwell time. Beat likes. Okay, we've sprinkled this already in, It's the thing is when someone saves a post of yours or shares it with someone else, that is a huge green flag that goes up and says, ooh, someone cared about this content enough. And I feel like it's highly concentrated because someone took the time to save it or share it with someone else. And so that tells us a lot of things. One, content that we can create more of. Two, something where maybe that topic really hit something with your audience. Maybe it could turn into a workshop or a lead magnet or free download of something of that nature. So saves are super important. And the thing is LinkedIn doesn't make it easy for us to find, what has actually been saved. What we have to do is actually go in our analytics and we have to go into our top posts and we actually have to click on each one to pull up those analytics. But if you guys make it a routine and you do it at least maybe once a month, it's a lot less of a lift and it can actually return so much value. So again, take a look at those saves. What are people really resonating with in your audience?
Yeah,
Now,
well, also the big thing that I really want people to understand is the fact that, and I just want to kind of just show them just really quick and kind of walk it through. So, as Nancy mentioned, if you really want to see those bigger vanity metrics that are most impactful that LinkedIn is pushing out, much like Nancy said, if you go to the homepage of LinkedIn on the left-hand column, you'll see something that says post impressions and it'll give you a number. If you click on that, it's actually going to show you what your content performance is. But if you go to discovery and then below that, you will have your engagement, and it's correlated by five different things: reactions, comments, repost, saves, and sends. So as I mentioned, comments are most important. So in the last 7 days, I have 89 comments. I have two reposts, six saves, and two sends on LinkedIn. Now, to Nancy's point, the only thing you can see who reposted your content, but you can't see who saved it or sent it to someone else. But the fact that I had six saves and two sends in the last 7 days, that means I am on the right path. So do check this information out, whether it's a weekly thing that you do, a bi-weekly, a monthly thing, a quarterly thing, but make sure you're checking to see what of your content is landing. Would you say, Nance?
Sorry, I muted myself because I had to blow my nose. All right, so the other thing that, obviously is very important is I want to also talk about with this change, with everything that's happening with this little AI, algorithm tool that LinkedIn's using, is that smaller accounts can actually still see a lot of success on LinkedIn. And it used to be that like we had to have these huge networks and we still had to grow and all these things. But we still have to do that, right? LinkedIn's a connection platform. We want to network, we want to grow our audience. Yes, but they're giving us an opportunity for those who again niche down, it's specific who you help, you're an industry expert. It's actually giving anyone who's showing up with that quality and that credibility, and it's pushing it out there to a larger audience. So you have more of a chance now to be seen by second connections and more, and just people who, again, are looking at content that's similar to yours or looking at certain industry related topics. So niche expertise can beat large generic creators. So if you see those people are just posting like quotes and the billboards and the whatever, it's like, oh great, that's awesome, but we actually, the little guys, have a good chance to actually get out there and be seen. And so I really appreciate that with LinkedIn, that if we're doing the right things, they want to reward us. Okay. Now, as service professionals, right, that's mostly who we work with: coaches, consultants, advisors, anyone who works one on one with people. LinkedIn's a great platform for you. Okay. Getting your content out there and sharing, how you benefit your clients. You already, right, have so much amazing content and so much amazingness inside of what you do, right? You've got real world experience. You've got proven frameworks. You've got client insights. You've got industry experience. And again, AI is going to reward you for sharing this. Okay. So stop with the, you know, get rich quick or the little tips where people are saying, oh, you can hack this or you can go viral with this, and just share with what go with what you know. So stick with your niche and make sure that you understand that expertise is becoming more valuable than content hacks. Okay, and we're moving right along. So the best content, like I mentioned, is already in your business. So a lot of people will ask, well, what types of things can I share? Whatever. I'm all about content harvesting. Like, where can we pull from some of this? So, client conversations you've had, right? A lot of times people ask a lot of questions, maybe when you even start working together. So, those frequently asked questions, guys, get your pen and paper, write them down, record them, save them, put them in a little folder, keep them, organized. They are gold whenever it comes to content. Discovery calls, what are people asking on those calls? Client wins, case studies, common mistakes that clients make that you can kind of help them get ahead of. Proprietary frameworks that you have, specific ways that you work with people to show that you're organized and you're structured and that you really can help. Industry trends and observations. Stop trying to invent content and start documenting what you already do. Okay. So it's sharing a lot of stuff that you already know. So again, I keep saying go with what you know. So some things to focus on, like Scott said, you want to optimize your profile, choose, some core topics that you talk about, make sure that your content is optimized with a strong hook. And like we said, the first 50 words, and then create content worth saving. We keep talking about saving, saving, saving. In fact, we'll probably do an episode, separate all by itself just around how impactful, right, that type of content can be. So those are my big highlights, Scott. Is there anything else you want to add in there?
Well, I would say at this point, um, look to sources of individuals that are really talking about the best ways to leverage LinkedIn in a very genuine and authentic way. Anytime you see this quote unquote LinkedIn expert or guru giving you some sort of like hack, or even if you're getting a message from someone that claims they can generate all these leads and sales, LinkedIn is a long game approach. And the fact that now they're on board with, very human-centric, genuine AI strategy, because that's what it's really all about. Everything that we went over today encapsulates that, right? If you really watch this or listen to this again, the fact that the 360 brew algorithm is based upon, how well you position yourself within your profile, how well you're positioning your content with your area of expertise. And the fact that you don't have to be a huge micro or big influencer on LinkedIn to succeed, it's to all of our advantages. Sometimes less is more. And, people look at my account and they're like, oh, you have almost 37,000 followers. What are you talking about? Well, yeah, that's a lot to some people, but I know people that have hundreds of thousands of followers. And that's not to say that they know more or less than me, but the vanity metrics are starting to dissipate. They really are. And the fact that the LinkedIn algorithm is based upon people commenting on your posts, people saving your posts, people sending your posts, people resharing your posts. Like those are the signals that you need to start paying attention to. And if you're not getting any of that, look at what you're posting. Is it of value? Is it leaving people better? Is it giving them a solution to a problem that they have? So, before we wrap up today's training in today's episode, if this inspired you and it's really got you scratching your head a little bit, that's exactly what we're going to be teaching in our 3-day free workshop. The content, the clients on command roadmap, like your LinkedIn content strategy, it is developed and it was created to help you fill in these holes and gaps that you may have with what we talked about in today's training, in today's episode. It's completely free, July 27th to July 29th. That's a Monday through Wednesday. It's 12 to 1 Eastern, live and recorded, so you can watch the replay. And if you really want to leverage LinkedIn the right way with your content, that's exactly what's going to be taught in this workshop. So if you're watching on social, YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and you would like to register, just type the word me in the comments and I'll send you the link to get yourself registered. If you're listening to one of our podcasts, all you have to do is go to the description of the episode. The link is right there for you to get registered. So everyone, we hope you enjoyed today's training. Love and gratitude, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye bye.